Talking to Suzanne Stevens now from Ignite Excellence. And Suzanne, welcome to Liquid Lunch.
Great to be here.
Great to have you here. Now, let's talk a little bit, let's get to know you a little bit first. And you've got a company called Ignite Excellence, and you're the founder of it. So maybe you can tell us the story of you and how you came to found Ignite Excellence and what that's all about.
In short, 22 years of sales experience and a lot of training, and realize that we can really step up the game when it comes to sales and leadership development.
You've also gone on to create a conference and a foundation around that. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Love to. A couple years ago, I actually went to Kenya with a group of 20 women executives and entrepreneurs, and we worked with various African individuals doing a number of different things. And I found myself working and training a lot of PhD and master's degree students. And in doing that, found the need that they really wanted to raise funds for some phenomenal initiatives. I realized an investment in leadership is such a huge, it can have such a huge impact on not only Kenya, but the continent as a whole.
Yes.
And I was quite inspired because the Vice Chancellor of the university, which is Africa International University, he talked about, it's really not, when people look at Africa, they often think poverty is the big issue, and rightfully so, or AIDS, or malaria, or urbanization. But he made the comment that all those things are important, but nothing is more important than the leadership. And if we can change the leadership, we can change the country and the continent and the communities. And when I heard that message, it took me on a very different journey, and thus the founding of Ignite Excellence Foundation, and now the Ignite Excellence Conference.
Okay, so let's talk about the foundation. So what is the work of the foundation?
Its primary goal is to invest in women in developing countries, to elevate them. Now, as you know, a lot of people put effort into Africa, and it's fantastic. Everything that they do is absolutely wonderful. But very few that actually invest in women leaders, which means investing in education at a postgraduate level. And if we could get more women educated in a postgraduate way, they could become the future leaders of many of these countries. And I think we'll see a drastic change when that occurs. There's a lot of leading in a community where it's not really focused on education per se, but well, we have all the microfinancing. And that's really what that's all about, is empowering people to make money so they can give it back to their families.
Yeah.
A huge fan of microfinancing. However, there's people doing that. There's still this sort of gap where we don't invest in women as leaders that can have a broader rippling effect throughout those communities and their countries. And that's really where this is a little different, well, actually quite a bit different than what's been done in Africa, is trying to provide scholarships for those women, so with women with potential that really want to make a difference and spread their wings and affect.
So what kind of vocations are you talking about, or areas of study that they would be taking?
They could be taking a number of different areas. It's just postgraduate, so that they can have some sort of influence somewhere along the line. A lot of times there's so much focus on getting girls into education, which is a good investment for the future, and that's going to take 10 to 20 years before they have an impact. So the philosophy of the Ignite Excellence Foundation is, well, why don't we just go to the top and change that and see if the rippling effect can happen a lot more rapidly than it is right now.
So raise the ceiling, in a sense.
That's right.
Wow.
That's right.
Fantastic.
And there's women that are doing it. I mean, there's on our website, there's tons of women that have really made an impact and are trying to change the status of women on the continent. So to see the impact just one can make, and that's who we're investing in, that one person that can make just such a huge impact.
So, sorry. Well, what's the intention of the conference?
Well, the conference is twofold. The primary goal of the conference is to raise funds to build a women's leadership center in Kenya. So there's sort of to your point about two levels of leadership. A lot of that leadership center will be focused very much on postgraduate education, but also some of the fundamentals of survival, be it AIDS or feeding your family, some of the everyday life things that in communities women need that kind of education as well. So there's sort of two levels that are occurring, but we're trying to be the bricks and mortar and invest in this whole leadership center.
Wow.
The belief system is in Africa that women, when they make money, 90% of that money goes back to the family. Where if a man makes money, 30 to 40% goes back to the family. That's a huge gap between those two things. So if we have more women leading in Africa, then we'd have more of that money going back to the family, which will obviously affect poverty. Also, what it also will affect is encourage higher education. In higher education, the higher the education, the fewer children they have under 18 years of age, which can also have a big impact on the decisions that they make. So although you may be asking that question in the Western world, do we make better leaders? I think we make different leaders in the Western world. I think men and women both need to be leading, not one over the other. We bring different things. But in Africa, it's such a void that I think there's a lot more women that do need to be leaders in order to funnel that money down and keep some of that money in Africa, to be perfectly frank.
So assuming that they did get into positions of power, say at a 50-50 ratio with men, what would Africa look like?
Well, I don't think there would be circumcision for women anymore, but that's a whole other issue. But a lot of these things would change. I think the poverty would be hugely affected, more responsible choices as far as HIV. And the reality is a lot of these women don't have choices. They go back to their husbands. And now I think women would be able to question that if they knew they could. More women at the top would allow the power to question, do I need to accept my husband back if he had 20 different partners and I know he's infected? Right now, they can't turn him away.
Okay, so obviously there's a need for the foundation and for the conference that's coming up. Do you want to tell us a little bit about the conference, when it is, where it is, some of the speakers, so what people can expect when they go there?
Absolutely. You know, going back to your question, what's this conference about? It's to raise funds for Africa, but the reality is it is for the women that show up, and I'm very conscientious. The money goes to Africa, but the people who actually come to the conference, it's really about Canadian women that attend. It is at the Westin Bristol Place, which I need to tell you, every single individual and supplier has donated everything to this conference. I mean, kudos to them. No one is getting paid a dime.
But it also speaks to the passion of which you're communicating the cause. So amazing. Way to go.
You know, I get shivers because I am so proud to be surrounded by not only the suppliers, but the 10 speakers that are saying, you know what, I believe in this, coming from coast to coast, getting their own way here, putting themselves up because they believe in the cause. And so it's November 22nd. It's at the Westin Bristol Place. It's a one-day full-on celebration, but at the same time, women's leadership, Canadian Leadership Conference. I say that because I've been very selective in the speakers. There was a few things I was looking for when I was asking the speakers. Regardless if I'm paying them or not, I wanted a high caliber event, and I am so happy to say we have that. Because a lot of Canadian women don't get the profile, and there's a lot of phenomenal Canadian speakers out there. So they're all Canadian except one. And the only one that is not is actually the namesake of the university in Kenya. But the rest of them are Canadian speakers. There's another key differentiator with the speakers, is they're all professional speakers, meaning almost every one of them except one makes a living speaking, which means you're talking about a very high caliber of a speaker, people that are been training and speaking and make a living from speaking first. Obviously, they're experts in some area, and all these people are experts in various elements of leadership. We have individuals like Peggy Grohl, who's speaking on change and women in change, but looking at organizations and how we don't want to change and what would make us successful to adapt. We say we want to, but we never do it. We have Peggy Paluzzi, who's speaking on corporate karma. And she's talking a lot about, and I believe this wholeheartedly, the new wave of philanthropy in organizations. Not just saying you're behind something, but really being a part of that. We have Toni Newman, she's coming from Montreal, and she's talking about innovation and really getting results. And she's another one who's just going to blow the doors off. We have Elaine Allison, who'll be talking about, going back to your point, about the brain, how women and men lead differently. And she's going to talk about how to be the best woman leader by understanding the science of our brains.
Wow.
Michelle Ray is going to be talking about the attitude of leadership. And we talk about attitude, but really how to incorporate it. So those are some of the keynotes that will be there, and all great leaders in their own right, and all Canadian. So I'm really proud of that.
Yeah,
Wow.
congratulations.
That sounds like it's going to be great.
Really great.
So all the speakers are all lined up, and then it's now how many people do you expect or can you accommodate?
We can accommodate more than I'm going to tell you, but 350 is what we're expecting, and our attendee campaign is actually starting for the November 22nd. So we have an early bird special right now. So
Wow, that's great. And where's the Westin Bristol place? Just
right by the airport.
Airport. Okay.
Yeah,
There
in
you go.
Toronto. Yeah, so it's good. The other thing unique about this conference is not only are there speakers, but like I said, it's a celebration. So one of the key elements of a woman leader in Canada is finance. I mean, there's a lot of breadwinners nowadays that are women, and there's been active conversation on LinkedIn in that regard. And so we also incorporated for sponsorship. So we're still looking for some sponsorship for the event. And I don't know if you've ever heard of the Stock Market Exchange. It's this interactive live stock market trading where we're going to be trading all the sponsors. So we're trying to create, we have these fantastic speakers, but a networking event as well. So there's a silent auction that will be taking place. There's a wine reception after. So it's not just about listening to great speakers, it's about being involved in the process and learning. My key is it's not a fluff event. You're going to take away a lot from this and be able to apply it, but at the same time meet some new people that you can build your business with.
So it sounds like any woman who's in a leadership position or
inspiring leader. Well,
exactly.
We'll take both.
Yeah, anybody who's got that on their agenda, you
Yeah.
know, it sounds like a perfect conference because they're gonna, they're gonna learn something. They're gonna be able to take something away from that they can apply in their work and in their lives.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Is there a cost?
This event is really about, okay, you're seeing a ton of great speakers for only $199 before October 22nd. You cannot get a conference with 10 speakers for $199.
No.
You just can't do that. And the interesting part is all that money is going to Africa.
Yeah.
So not only do you get to learn a lot, but you also get the great opportunity of that money going to help a woman change.
Right.
Yes.
So that money
Change.
actually counts twice, at least.
yes,
Because it's
at
helping in
least.
Africa.
Yep.
It's an investment in your own career.
Absolutely.
And
Raising awareness, a ton of awareness.
yeah.
And that is truly key, is
Yeah.
being aware of this gap. As I've embarked on this project, I'll be honest, I had no idea some of the things I am learning that still exist in Africa.
Anything else that you want to tell us about it before we give the contact information on how people can get tickets and so forth?
Absolutely. This is the first time we can, as a group of women, impact a continent by investing in women leadership. And I don't think that opportunity exists as much anymore. So not only we're women elevating women in Canada, but we're also elevating them in Africa. And we can be a part of that. So
Okay,
I'm pretty
great.
excited.
That sounds really exciting. November 22nd, up near the airport at the Westin Bristol Place. And people, I'm presuming, can go on your website and get more info, get tickets, or get in touch with you?
Absolutely. The best website, we actually created a site talking about the issues, talking about the gap in Africa, and also profiles of graduates that have made a difference in Africa. It's all there. And of course, it's www.Ignite Excellence Conference, and there's two E's in the middle there, .org. And the registration, and it's simple as that. One thing we are encouraging, just to add, is bringing your clients. I mean, what a great time to bring your clients, or as an association or internal group of women leadership group in your organization. Come as a group. What a great team building experience, or to elevate your client relationships as well, because tables are early bird as well right now.
That sounds great. That sounds like something women would maybe do.
Exactly. Men are welcome, though. Men
Are they?
welcome. Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right.
Their donations are just as good.
Great. Okay, Suzanne, thanks so much for doing this. Suzanne Stevens from Ignite Excellence. IgniteExcellenceConference.org is the website.